just 2 weeks behind Knox Johnson, he continued eastwards for another lap of the Southern Ocean to save my soul, as he put it. This is the real solo race, sailing like it's 1968.
Forcément, tous les gens qui reviendront de la Golden Globe Race, forcément, il faut s'attendre à ce qu'ils aient changé.
It's a great story and it's the 50th anniversary, and it's a great opportunity to relive the original solo sailing when technology wasn't available, where we're just using sextants and wind-up clocks to find your position. And it's really the story of humanity and human endeavour in the extreme. So the world has never seen anything like this event.
Well, g'day again, and this is number 4 of the Entrant interviews. So today we're going to be talking about Guy Waits and his efforts in the GGR. Normally I'm going to give you an update on what's been happening with the GGR in the last week. I'm going to forego that because Guy and I have got a lot to talk about, and I've got a sneaky suspicion this one could go over time a bit because we try to keep it to half an hour. But that may not happen because Guy's an interesting sort of guy. And we've got a special secret guest coming up after that, which could make it even worse. So if you get bored, just bugger off and we'll just talk between ourselves. So I'll just bring Guy up here. There he is. G'day, Guy. How's things?
I'm good, thank you, Don. How are you?
I'm not bad. Well, we're in Hobart, but where are you?
I'm in North Yorkshire, in the north of England, just on the edge of the Dales, the Yorkshire Dales.
Okay, cool. And all right, I think a lot of people watching this already will know who you are and what you're doing, but some people joining later watching the replay won't. How old are you?
I'm 52 at the moment.
52, okay. And so let's just get back to the basics and quickly get back into your other little boat stories. But what got you into sailing?
Oh, that's a friend of mine, David Swift, about 27 or so years ago now, invited me sailing one weekend on the Solent.
So you're a late starter. You weren't sailing from being a kid or anything?
No. And it didn't really go anywhere near dinghies for years, and went straight into keel boats and just loved it from day one. Yeah.
Really? So what did you do when you were a kid? What was the excitement?
Usual stuff. You know, I mean, I grew up just outside Leeds, about as far away from the sea in the UK as you can get. Had no real experience of anything like sailing, as I say, until I was mid-20s. And so it's usual stuff, Boy Scouts and, you know.
That's Boy Scouts. That's the key. Yeah. There had to be something there.
Yeah, you know, I've always been an outdoor person, and also something I realised, because it was a question I kept getting asked about. You know, don't you get scared being on your own and things like this? And when thinking about it, ever since a child, looking back on my life, I've always wandered off on my own. I've just been happy in my own company, in my own little world, really.
Yeah. Okay. And so, so what was the first boat you went on? That first trip? What happened? Where was it? Must have been pretty hectic to turn you into sailing straight away. Oh
no, it was a very cold last sort of late season sail on the Solent in a Beneteau. I don't know, something like a 45-foot Beneteau or something, and we just bashed around the Solent for the weekend. It was bitterly cold. I remember that, but just got hooked.
Okay, and so I'm going to cut straight in here. So this is a Contessa 26. How long did it take you from the time you went to your first sail that you decided to buy this boat and fix it up and sail it solo across the Atlantic?
Oh gosh, that was years and years of dreaming that have ended some 15, 16, maybe 17 years after I first started sailing. I bought my first boat, the Red Admiral, you can see there, and spent 18 months preparing it for the Jester Challenge in 2010.
Okay, I didn't realise that's right. Okay, so it was the Jester Challenge. For those that don't know that, it's a little boat race with no rules, no regulations, just getting your boat. Got to be under 31 feet, I think it is, or something.
Under 30, 20 to
under
30
30.
foot boat.
Yeah, and just get across the Atlantic just for fun. So where I mean, you're very unique in this regard. Most people get inspired by the original Golden Globe and Sir Robin and all that stuff. You just got into sailing, and then it just evolved. You must have been reading books. What just made you decide to do this? Where'd that dream come from?
Well, I mean, so this goes back to what I was just saying about the childhood thing. So I've always had an affinity for the sea, even though as I say, I didn't get into sailing till later in life. I was always attracted by water or water sports. I did some canoeing as a child and stuff like this, real basic stuff. And then whenever I went to the library, for instance, as a schoolboy, and I was taking books out, the books that fascinated me were the outdoor pursuits, the mountaineers or the Arctic explorers or the sailors, etc. And the thing that I was then drawn to was the ones who did it all on their own. It just seemed like an amazing challenge and adventure, and so it really, when you connect the dots there, it's very obvious why I got into single-handed sailing.
Okay, cool. And so then you take off in the Jester Challenge, everything goes wrong, and you came back. What went wrong?
I was about 1,000 miles out into the Atlantic, and it was a gale of wind blowing, beating into it, of course, because you're heading from, not surprisingly, from east to west. And the boat just launched itself off of a breaking wave, fell down in the hole, in the trough after the wave, slammed really hard, and the deck step mast compressed the coach roof down. On the beam underneath wasn't enough to support it, and it broke the bulkhead right the way across the boat.
Holy dooly! Yeah.
So I just turned the boat around, took the mainsail down, and just ran before it with a tiny little scrap of jibboat until the gale blew through, and sailed the boat home. Didn't need any assistance or anything like that, and then spent the next year or that winter rebuilding the boat inside with a carbon fiber beam and rebuilt the bulkhead. And the Jester Challenge is every 4 years to Newport, Rhode Island. And I just thought that to hell with that. I'm not waiting another 4 years for the next chance. When you're out there, you're on your own anyway. Whether you think you're taking part in a race or a challenge or whatever, you are on your own. You're not within sight of one another. And so I just thought, no, get the boat back in the water and get going. And I took me 43 days in 2011. So I set off the next year and arrived in Newport. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so you did it. And then what's the story next? So I can't believe this. You go from a 26-footer, a Contessa 26, which, by the way, is a very famous little boat. There's two boats that are classics. One's the Contessa 26 that had Tanya Abbey and Brian Codwell and even Nick Gaff, our mate Nick Gaff, who works on GGR. He did a big trip on a Contessa 26. I've looked at them a few times, and one time I bid on one on eBay. They're a classic boat, that and the SNS 34. So then you move from that boat into Corribee.
I know.
What was that about?
Yeah,
going smaller.
Why on earth would you go smaller? Yeah, I did get a few comments about that at the time. Well, not surprising. So, first of all, I wanted to do it again. And it didn't matter actually whether it was the Jester Challenge or not. I just wanted to go across the Atlantic on my own again, and there's all sorts of reasons for doing that. But I wanted to change the challenge in a way, and I also wanted a boat, because when I refitted Red Admiral, I spent a year and a half driving from where I was living in Knaresborough in North Yorkshire at the time to Bridlington, to this farmer's barn, and it was like 120-mile round trip, for a year and a half. And I thought, I'm not going through that again. I need a boat small enough that I can get on a trailer next to the house. And so I went smaller, and I the Corribee is an obvious example of many boats of that size.
And Ellen MacArthur started in that one, eh?
Yeah, exactly that. And Duna, I think it was called. And so I bought Red Admiral from a very dilapidated state on a Norfolk Broads River, half full of river water. Pulled it out the water, took it home, and spent 4 years absolutely ripping it to bits.
Another 4 years.
Yeah, that boat, I did much the same to that boat to Betsy, the Corribee, that say, not Istvan, our Finnish competitor.
Yeah.
Literally, I didn't take the deck off, but I totally ripped the inside out and rebuilt it. It was unsinkable and all sorts. It was a great little boat. Yeah.
So a little boat. Hang on, I got to chase these around here. Little boat. And that was for Jester Challenge again, or just your own private one? And you didn't answer the question. Why did? Oh, that's it. Yeah, you did. You had to be towing. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay.
So the kind of the increase in challenge, if you like, was to do it in a smaller boat. There was no engine in this boat, and also via the northern route. So we went up from Scarborough. That's Scarborough there. You can see on the picture.
Yeah.
From Scarborough, I went up the east coast of the UK to first of all to Shetland to Lerwick in the Shetland Islands.
There's a map here. I got the map on the screen. Yeah.
And then from Shetland out into the Atlantic, and that was 55 days to Newport, Rhode Island.
That's amazing. Bloody hell. Okay. I'm convinced that means you're suitably crazy and suitably acceptable to do the GGR. And so when did, and then obviously a bit about your history with the Clipper and so on. What, you got a job there, give us a lead in that, not too long, but,
Yeah. Okay. So I came back from having sailed the Atlantic there and back in Betsy, because I came back the following year in 2017, again, single-handed. And my wife Julie, we were following the Clipper race because Julie was taking part in the 17-18 race as a crew member.
Yeah.
And then one or two changes happened, and suddenly Clipper were announcing that they were putting first mates on all the boat.
Yeah.
And I sort of threw my hat in the ring, and on the next thing I know, I was packing in my job and packing my life into boxes and heading out to Australia. I joined in.
What was your job? What was your job before that?
At the time, I was a manager at Royal Mail in the delivery side of the business.
Oh, a postman.
Yeah.
Far out. Okay, get rid of that. You got a lot more fun now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And joined in Early Beach, in when Early Beach is in Sundays, and sailed from there all the way back to the finish in Liverpool. And then it was obvious then, you've been a first mate for half the race. Why not be a skipper for the whole race? So there we are.
So that's what you did. So you joined up for this one. And so so you're a skipper now that's gone halfway around the world, cancelled or delayed because of the virus, and you'll go back later. But what was the key? When did you start to think about GGR, the current 2018 Golden Globe race leading to this one? When did the spark happen with that?
Right. Well, I first got interested in the Golden Globe race in about 2015-16 when I was preparing Betsy, but I was so close to finishing with Betsy, I didn't want to bin that and move straight into GGR. I wanted to keep going, of course.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another, and Clipper came along, and it just so I just parked the idea of doing the GGR at the time, but of course followed the race every minute of every day, listening to all the SoundClouds and the interviews, etc. All the updates, and thought, well, it's an obvious step, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what's the okay? Then we come on to get you right up to speed right now. Is your boat. Now this was originally my boat. This is where the whole race idea started from as well. When we decided up the race, I thought about this, got the 35, couldn't do the race, sold it to Kevin Fairbrother. He didn't do it, and so it goes. And then it turns up, and here's the story for the people just to set the scene. Kevin wanted out quickly. We sold the boat cheap to an Australian guy. He spent a bunch of money on it, went cruising for 2 years, ended up in Panama, rang me up and said, Don, I want to get off the boat. And I said, from Panama? You want me to sell the boat in Panama? So then I thought of you heading to Panama, and that's how it started. So, you haven't seen anyone and you paid the money, you've got a boat and you can't get to it.
That's it. Yeah. We all know that situation, don't we? The COVID situation. So, but it's the people ask me why I chose the Tradewind 35. It was just the right boat at the right time. At
the right price. You can't get to it. No, it's a cool boat. It's going to be good because the guys on next week, who I'll introduce you later on in a minute after the secret questions, is he's got another bloody Rustler. It's so good to not have a Rustler. Not that I've got anything wrong with them. They're great boats, but
someone's got to beat them, right?
Well, yeah, there's a plan. I know you know the plan, and let's hope it happens. Okay, so pick. I'm going to give you some stupid questions now to see who you are. In fact, before we go there, word associations. Word association. What's the first word that flashes into your head when I say 2022?
Golden Globe race.
Iceberg.
Too far south.
Pandemic.
Hell.
Overboard.
Tether.
Margaret Thatcher. Just admit it. You don't like politics. That's fine. Next question. Southern Ocean.
Southern Ocean. That's the dream. Yeah.
Fear.
No fear.
Facebook.
Necessary evil.
Panic.
No, never.
Red.
Red Admiral.
Chichester.
Knox Johnston.
I was going to say, okay. I was going to say Robert Knox Johnson. What was your first thing there in your head when you say RKJ? Sir Robert Knox Johnson, I should say.
Well, Golden Globe race.
Yeah. Rollover.
Been there, done that.
Cold.
Soup.
Why?
Why not?
Yeah, that's cool. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so questions. Silly questions, 1 to 10. Pick a number.
3.
What small things make you happy?
Avocados.
Why?
You're not allowed to ask why.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I can't get a good one these days. You pay top dollar and they're rubbish. But anyway, 10 to 20.
13, of course.
Oh, you're away. That brings me up to another question. The boat had 13. What's your race number?
It's 13.
13. Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
In our Globe 580s, you know, you buy a set of plans, you build your little Mini, and that's it, and that's your hull number. And a guy rings me up the other day and said, "Hey Don, look, I've been thinking about it for a month, and I've got 13. Can I swap it out?" So we're deleting 13 from the 580s anyway.
Right.
Okay, where do we get to? 10 to 20, 13. You've already done that. Oh, here it is. What inspires you most?
What inspires me most? Challenge.
Yeah. Challenge. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, 20 to 30.
23.
23. What's your nickname and why? This could get interesting.
Okay, in sailing, it's always been Guy, the French pronunciation of Guy.
Yeah, okay, and why? That's it. Yeah, French. That's boring. You couldn't have something like, you know, what are the crew call? What is your clipper crew call you when they're really miffed over something that you've done? They must call you something.
Well, they've never said anything to my face, but they call me boss.
Boss, okay. There you go. That might be your new name for the GGR. G'day, boss. Okay, 30 to 40.
33.
33. Did your parents do a good job raising you?
Obviously not.
Okay. I like that. That's a good one. Okay, so
not around to argue with me either, Don.
Yeah, my mother always said she wished she had drowned me at birth. You know, that was her favourite claim to fame. But anyway, okay, 40 to 47.
43.
43. If you could, I'm detecting a plan here. Why is everything ending in 3?
Well, it's the closest I can get to 13. That's my boat number, you know.
Okay, that's fine. All right, 43. If you could sit down for dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you talk about?
Jesus.
Oh, no. I don't know whether I want to hear the rest of the answer. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, you know, it'd be interesting to see what he thinks of the world and how it's worked out, right? You know, could be quite an interesting conversation.
Actually, that's quite true. It'd be fascinating. I got to say, I mean, every now and then I just take a deep breath and just say, "Oh boy, think about something else." There's a few challenges on at the moment, eh? And it's one of the beauties of sailing, and also, I mean, I'm a bit older than you, but similar deal. I mean, I think we've been very lucky the period in our life when we've been born. But anyway, let's talk about something else, never about religion and politics. So now it gets very obscure. Pick a letter between A and A and N?
G.
G. Oh, that's a worry. I don't know G's and J's. I'm dyslexic, and I've got to really think about this. G,
Anyone
J.
you like.
G is golf, so that's stranded on an island.
Mhm.
You've got plenty of food and water. What two items would you take? What other two items would you have? You got food and water, but nothing else. So what two items?
A hammock and a knife.
Holy dooly! I'd rather sleep on the sand. I could think of something better than a hammock. The knife, yes. Why the hammock?
Well, why not? You're gonna spend a lot of time lying down doing nothing, Don. You may as well enjoy it.
Okay, that's cool. Look, here's a lovely question. I'd love to know this. Here's a bit of an interesting one. You got to think about this. If you ate yourself, would you become twice as big, or would you completely disappear?
I'd like to think I'd disappear.
Okay.
Other people, I'm sure.
So before we get into the next session, I'm going to introduce our next. Hang on, I'll get rid of your boat here. That's a great boat, by the way. Nice trade wind 35. And I'm going to bring up our secret guest. So here he is.
Hey, guy.
Hi, Doc. Hi there. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, going back to what we've already heard, nickname, I think it has to be Postman Pat.
Postman Pat. Postman Pat. Oh, yeah, Posty. Yeah. How's the I like that. Yeah. Okay, so for those that don't know Robin, this is Robin Davey. Robin only learnt to sail last year. He's a complete novice. I'm only joking. Robin, I won't go into too much because your big conversation is going to be next week. Next week, you're on for the whole session. But Robin's done 3 BOCs, effectively, 3 solo circumnavigations, and you've currently got another one of those bloody rustlers, which you've been working on. And where are you at the moment, Robin?
I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, in the USA. I'm looking out over the lake, over the docks, and I can see police cars blocking interstates, and we've got all the crap going on over here that you're hearing about.
It's unreal, eh? I must say, Jane and I saw you. We had a quick chat before we came to air. You're looking surprisingly well. Is there someone cooking for you or housekeeping or something? You look fit and healthy. What's going on? Did you give up smoking?
Hey, there's no food shortages, and we've got everything we need. I'm in great shape, and all I need is an air ticket out. I tried to get a ticket back to the UK for last week, and it got cancelled. And then they wanted over $1,000 to rebook, and in a hurry. So no, I'm hanging on here another few weeks, and we'll find our way back in due course.
Yeah, it's all pretty scary, eh? Because guys trying to get to Panama, you're trying to get to UK, we're trying to get out of Australia to get back to China, and then back to get my little boat and back to us. It's just going to be nuts, and prices and travel. But anyway, we've been really lucky. So what we're going to do now, Robin, we're not going to talk so much about you, but we're all going to talk together. So you can talk about anything but you and your boat. That's next week. But we're just between the 3 of us, we'll just have a natter. We're really lucky with the GGR because it doesn't start until September 22. So we're relatively unaffected. I mean, we're going to have challenges with sponsors and things like that, but we're pretty lucky, compared to all the other events. Everything's cancelled.
No, we're in great shape. I mean, I'm going to just stock the boat up with a load of masks and come to Sablers, and hopefully I won't have to use them.
Yeah, exactly. True. So how are you feeling living with the pandemic in England, Guy? Is it personally, has it been tough, or what's your gut feeling?
No, it's well, first of all, before I was anything to do with Royal Mail, I was self-employed as a sole trader for many more years. So being by myself, in my own home is effortless, really. And also, it's actually been, in some sense, a useful break from what I was doing with the Clipper race to actually come home and do some valuable work. It's just unfortunate that I'm now at the stage where there isn't that much more I can really do. What I really want is to have my boat on my hands, don't I? So
yeah, exactly. Yep, too true. Anyway, all very interesting. I've asked David and Seb, they're sort of stood down for a couple of months because we can't do anything really associated with the commercial side, and sponsors and partners, and even with press releases, we decided putting news out this time. It's all a bit sensitive. A lot of people having a hard time. But the good news is we're about to flash it all up again. Later this month. In fact, we'll probably get a press release out shortly. We'll slowly start building back again, and things will start happening, because very soon it's only going to be 2 years before the start. That's not a long time away.
No. 2 years will come and go in no time. I know that from experience.
Yeah. So you're happy, Robin? Your program's looking pretty good, eh?
Yeah, no, I'm in good shape, and I'll just be pleased to get back and get on with the boat. Right now, Guy? Why number 13? You were about to tell us, I think.
You picked up on that, Robin.
Huh?
You picked up on that, yeah. So it's basically Red Admiral was my first boat. Okay.
Right.
And I bought her on the 13th of the month. Okay. Then it happened that the launch date that was available happened to be the 13th of the following month. Okay. And then after a bit of work, the first time I sailed her was the 13th of the month after that. So ever since then, it's been 13.
13 sounds like a pretty good number to have, if you ask me. I would stick with it.
I didn't realise that connection. So, and Kevin was a mountain climber. He wanted 13, because just what the hell with luck or whatever it is. So the boat's got 13, and now you've got that boat. That's spooky. Crikey. Never mind.
Yeah, I think back to, some of you might remember Jean-Yves Tallan with his Vendredi 13.
Yeah, too true. That's cool. Oh, well. So that's good. So what else is happening in your life in America, Robin?
It's pretty boring. I'm up to about the 8th jigsaw.
Yeah. Okay.
Read a hell of a lot of books.
Yeah.
I've got a few left and a couple to take on the plane with me. So, hey. Apart from that, it's actually just been a great break from boat stuff, because I've done nothing but the GGR boat since 2016 or 2017, right through until I came over here to clear up my stuff and shut down everything over here. So once I fly out of here, back to the boat in Falmouth, that's it. I'm done from over here until I finish the race.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds cool. So, Guy, how do you feel about your timeline now that you've got a new 13 boat, Tradewind 35, that's done it before? Like, you'll obviously, I know you've worked on the list of the work you've got to do. You're comfortable with your timeline and comfortable with your finances and being psyched up. I mean, all that sort of thing.
Well, from the point of view of timing, okay, it was, as I said, it was the right boat, the right level of specification, etc., and condition for my circumstances, being as involved in the Clipper race as I am, and a limited time. In terms of the funding, well, I sold my home to take part in this event, so I've basically bought the boat with the money that I had. I have managed to raise some money through, if you go to guywaitssailing.com, the website, you'll find a link to the GoFundMe page, and I've had some very generous donations, all from Dare to Lead crew from the Clipper race. So a big thumbs up to those guys. I also had 2 very interested sponsors for the race, actually 3 people who were expressing a lot of interest in sponsoring me for the race. And of course, the COVID things just kind of like put a stop to that for now. But I think with the time frame that we have, they've got plenty of time to recover their situations and to feel comfortable about coming back to the table with that. So that's good. It was, as I say, it was the right boat at the right time at the right price for my circumstances and everything else. So,
So what's the biggest problem at the moment, or the big 2 things? What's the biggest problem you've got, or the biggest challenge you're facing to get to the start line, and what's your biggest fear for the race? The biggest worry for the race once you take off.
The biggest problem is the obvious one right now, and that's the fact, just like Robin, I can't get to where I want to be. That's it. Because when I bought the boat, okay, or when I was looking at buying the boat, one of the pluses for me was that it wasn't in my country. and it meant that I would have to sail it back home, and in doing so, qualify or at least fulfill some of the qualifying for the GGR, and also spend a good amount of time and a good amount of sea miles with me and my boat, getting to know one another. And that's an important part of the preparation. Okay, I'm being held, so that's the biggest barrier right now, that I can't get to where I want to be. And then the biggest fear, I think, is the same fear that everyone has, and that's the big one. The one that's got your name written on it, and comes on you in the middle of the night when you're down below or asleep or what have you, and knocks you for six. That is the ever-present danger of single-handed sailing.
Yeah, too true. You got a truckload of miles now, eh? Do you keep count?
I don't keep a personal logbook like some people do, because I don't really consider myself as a commercial seafarer, so I don't do it for any kind of, tax situation or anything like that, or recording hours. I think it's getting close to about 100,000 nautical miles now.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you look as if you want to ask a question, Robin. I don't want to hold you back. Just go for it.
No, I was just going to comment. I wouldn't worry too much about the timeline, Guy. I mean, I know it feels as though there's this great timeline, but all those miles will do you an awful lot of good, and you'll learn so much from the boat getting it back from Panama to England, and hopefully you'll get out and still do a load of miles once you've had a time to give it a little refit and get it ready. It's like most things, it'll work itself out. It's a bit like the finances as well. You kind of think this is going to make it difficult. Well, hey, it's the way it is. It's the way it always is with these things.
You do what you do. You better to go with what you got than not go at all. We all know about that.
Yeah.
But I must say, I mean, anyone that goes from a 26-footer down to a 22-footer has got my cup of tea. You got my admiration. That's what it takes to do the GGR. Stepping into an ocean liner now. That's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I said I'd never ever go to sea in anything under 40 foot, and never did until you came along.
Oh, well, there you go. That's fun. Well, I'm getting into a 19-foot boat. Stick that up your jumper, Guy. 19 feet.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to it.
You better slim down a bit then, hadn't you?
I know. You saw my pandemic gut, did you? Don't worry. I'm working on it. You wouldn't believe it. The phone in here now has an alarm. Jane sets the alarm. It goes off every 2 hours during the day. And I've got to get off the computer and do all these exercises. So anyway, and I'm eating less. I couldn't believe it when I thought it'd be doing. Anyway, let's change the subject.
The alternative is, you're going to give a whole new definition to water ballast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, we need to change the subject. What are we talking about now? Anyway, all right. So we're kicking through, and I think we should probably keep going. If you've got something, what do you want to talk about, Guy? Tell me something that you want to say.
Yeah. Well, I've got a question for Robin. Because I all those years ago, before I got into single-handed sailing, I was reading all the books, and I read plenty of stuff about the Around Alone race, the BOC. So, and I've even, a good friend of mine is past Commodore of the Newport Yacht Club, Norm Bailey. Okay. And I visited him when I was actually in the US in 2017 to bring Betsy back home across the Atlantic. He had the 1/4-inch thick solid silver plate sitting on his dining room table. He brought it home to polish it. The BOC plate with all your names on it.
Cool.
The names of the boats and the buttercups and the years and whether it's passed on.
Did he buy it in a garage sale, or did Nigel Rowe sell it to him?
Well, it's obviously in the club cabinet, isn't it? And
that's amazing.
Actually, if you take part in what is now called the O-Star, okay, I'm talking about the one organised by the Royal Western, not not any other nonsense that's going on at the moment. And it's used as a presentation piece for the winner, I believe. As they obviously they can't keep it, but it's a beautiful thing, and I've got pictures of it. And anyway, so my question, to Robin is. In the BOC, it was around the world with stops, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And
Cape
now
Town, Sydney, Punta del Este, and then back to Charleston or Newport.
Yeah. So I would have thought from my experience, that the step change from a race with stops, even as few as the BOC had, to the GGR. What's your biggest, what's changed in your thinking, in your preparation, where you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, I can't just pull into Cape Town now and fix my rig or fix my rudder. It's a not stop or bust race. So how do you feel about that?
Oh, that's fine. I mean, it's a whole different ball game. Ball game trying to go around with no stops compared to trying to go around with a BOC with 3 stops, or just making 1 stop for a Chichester stop. It's a whole different mindset more than anything else. And to my mind, probably mindset is going to be the defining factor of the whole race. I mean, I think if you look at the people who finished the 2018 race, mindset defines every one of those 5 people, and mindset defines every one of the people that didn't make it as well.
Yeah, mind you, I had a nice little chat the other day with Tommy, or Ablish. I call Ablish Tommy, I think. And yeah, he had the right mindset, but just got walloped, and so did Gregor. Right. They all did it. This is a very sad story, but part of history now, hey, But you're right. I agree. I mean, Guy, crikey, you've got a serious chance of beating Robin in the 2022 race. We're
not talking about this, Robin, are we?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I'm saying. In my mind, your mindset. But the problem is, I think Robin still classes as a Brit. So that means you got 2 Poms there trying to race each other. So why are you going to beat Robin, Guy? Why do you think you're going to be able to beat Robin in the GGR?
Well, I think it's that's an interesting question, as we've just been talking about mindset, haven't we? I think most people enter an event like this to meet the challenge of actually doing it. All right, regardless of whether they turn out to be a Jean-Luc or a Tapio.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you want to do. You're doing it because you want to get round. That's number one, and then it's almost a case of you take part, and then as time evolves, then you decide along the way, depending on a whole bunch of factors, whether or not you're now in it to win it, or whether you're in it just to finish it like you first set out. I don't think anyone charges into it honestly thinking they're going to win right from the get-go. Maybe Philippe Péchet thought that, and no disrespect to him, but he made his boat too light and it suffered, and he was out early days relatively.
So that's a really nice answer, but you could have just said, I've got a bloody trade win. That's why you're going to win. Now, Robert, why do you believe that you're going to beat Guy?
I don't believe I'm going to beat anyone. I'm just going to go out there, do my thing, do the best I can, and if I finish towards the top, hey, that's great. And if I finish low down, then great on the people that have finished above me. It's as simple as that. And you know what? The thing about winning is you're making somebody else a loser. So you don't need to win. I mean, at the end of the day, you're just there to do.
You got to fly the seniors flag. You got to fly that. Like there's seniors and there's the rest of the world. I've just entered that realm. That's why I'm bringing it up. In fact, you'll probably laugh to know that in the minis, in the 580s, it wasn't me. Someone asked me, "Oh, you're going to have a seniors division?" A few people were saying, so hey, that's a good idea. I'm a senior, so I'm in the seniors division of the minis.
Yeah,
so I don't have to worry about anyone else.
And when you look at the GGR as such, I mean, I kind of, 2 of the great sailors that I followed and loved following. Tom Follett, who you may not ever have heard of, he was 3 cheers and 3 cheers, the little proer and trimaran, and then Mike Birch. And both of those guys were delivery sailors, delivery skippers, and that's really all the GGR is just deliver the boat to the finish line.
Okay, now you're talking about delivering things, and Guy's pretty good. He's been a postie, remember? He's the man for deliveries. So yeah, no, you're exactly right. You never think about trying to beat the other guy. You sort of and I'm not as competitive as all of that anyway, but I mean, we understand the philosophy of why 99% of the entrants are there. It's all about the challenge, and you've got to get to the finish, and part of the fun is maybe you can beat someone, keep behind you, but that's not, yeah.
Well, when you look at it, when you look at it, I mean, one of the great motivations, and it always has been for me in the BOC races, is you're trying to catch the guy, in front of you. You're trying to avoid being caught by the guy, the person who's following you. So, from a competitive point of view, I think we all want to be a little on the competitive side at whatever position in the race we happen to sit.
Yeah. Too true.
Yeah,
So, what's the one thing you think you'll miss, Guy, on the GGR?
Oh, I've got to be careful now because
you're married. You're still on your honeymoon, right? Okay. Answer that question, then tell me the real answer.
Okay. So obviously, I'm going to miss Julie. Okay.
Yeah.
But prior to being married and all of that sort of stuff, I would have said salad. Because I love fresh salads and stuff, and you don't get much of that. So
yeah, absolutely.
There's not many avocados out there, are there?
Jeez, no way. Anyway, I'm still, I'm just saying to Jane today, I won't say I've given up on the idea of doing a solo non-stop now with the GGR because I'm getting quite excited about the mini stuff. But yeah, I don't know whether I will now. It's hard to say. That's called evolution, like you start off with a dream, but it's gone into other things. It's all very exciting, so all cool. Okay, we probably better finish up. It's going for a long time. There's probably no one listening. Oh, there's 50. How many people on there, Dean? 50,000. Oh, probably people want to know more. So
there's a whole bunch of questions, right?
Oh, hang on. I had some questions before. Actually, there's some here as well, but there were two questions from people before. Guy, they wanted to know how many sales you were going to take.
7 or 8.
7 or 8. Okay, I've got some other questions here. I've got comments. Hang on. Comments should be top 3 of this. Hi from Israel. I'm the only one who broadcast is stuck. No, boss. How many bags of Yorkshire tea are you planning to pack for the GGR? That's from 600. Nathan Hadfield.
Yeah, Nathan, the answer is 600.
600, okay. How many packets of cigarettes are you going to take, Robin?
None.
None. No, that's good. That's a healthy sign. Okay, so sorry? No more, just lots of abuse. There's lots of abuse in the comments. I forgot to advertise the fact that people can put things in there. We can answer questions. But yeah, no, there's no more. Elena Hughes from Uruguay, just saying thanks, guys. Good interview. Is that a friend of yours, Guy?
Elena is a lovely lady from Uruguay who was our ambassador when we arrived there in the Clipper race. She looked after the Dare to Lead team, and she's wonderful, and we love her to bits. So,
cool. Okay. Well, we might be going to Uruguay for the Ocean Globe race. We'll see. We've got a few people there. Anyway, we'll see. A lot of things going on there. All right. Well, that's all good. So I think that's probably enough. I think good to chat, everyone. And thank you very much, Guy. I'll get rid of Robin first because we'll be seeing you next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll have to get someone else there good. And it's quite fun having 3 people. Maybe that's better than just me and the crazy questions. I don't know. I haven't got too much abuse yet. But thank you, Robin.
Anything will be better than you and the crazy questions. Let's be quite clear about that.
For those that don't know and never saw the GGR, Robin and I used to get on as a couple of old blokes having a natter about things during the race. It was actually a lot of fun. And I'm just saying that maybe, Robin, you might come back and you and I might interview the person, put them on the spot, really grill them. But we can do that after you and I have spoken about your 22 GGR. We'll get that out of the way, and you can tell us how young you are and, all the problems you have, about you, not your boat. And you can talk about your boat too. And, and then we might bring you in as one of the guest interviewees or something. We'll see.
We can do something like that, Don, exactly. I'm sure.
Anyway, you're looking good. I've got to say, you look better. It must be because you haven't been on your boat for a while. You're eating proper food and not working 40 hours a day.
Yeah.
All right. So bugger off. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers. See you next week. Bye, Guy. Best of luck, mate.
Cheers, Robin.
Okay.
Nice talking with you.
Okay, so he's gone. So that's good. Tell me about the painting behind you. on the wall.
Okay. Yeah. So it's Lively Lady.
I can see that. What's special about it?
But not everyone may know about it. And,
that's true. Yeah.
When Julie and I married last year, just before I set off on the Clipper race, a good friend of ours, Steve, he gave us this signed limited edition print of Lively Lady and a signed first edition copy of the book about his circumnavigation, Sir Alec Rose's circumnavigation. So, yeah, very nice gift. And I've just finished reading the book a few weeks ago. So
that's a great story, eh? It's a good read. Not everyone knows about Chichester and Robin.
Yeah, I know.
Robin, but not so many. A lot of them do. But it's a great read for sure. I've read it a few times. Anyway,
and
all right.
And the Golden Globe race has a similar situation where there are competitors who took part in the original GGR. Okay, back in '68. Who people, unless they're sailors and keen sailors, will know little or nothing about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of backstories there. So yeah. All right. Well, good to chat, eh? So I hope you get your boat soon, and we'll catch up and we'll work on your nickname. Work out what we're going to call you. There's too many options there. I'm still impressed about the Corby 22-footer. That's just crazy. So thanks, Guy. Hey.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it was 21 feet. So, but I'll let you off.
It's 21 feet.
Yeah,
that's even crazier. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, fun. Thanks, mate. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so that's it, and we'll be here same time, same place next week, and we look forward to that. Thanks a lot, and see you later on. Bye-bye.